Well, okay, here we are. There's been a development. Well, here in the OneCoin trial, inside this building, 40 Foley Square, in room 318, courtroom 318, Konstantin Ignatov is testifying in great detail against OneCoin that he worked for as the personal assistant of his sister, Ruja Ignatova. He just finished, I was just up there. He was just saying how he was 2 rooms away in the Sofia headquarters, how the mother is 1 room away and continues to work for OneCoin, how Mark Scott visited the headquarters in Sofia. He kept saying the purported crypto center, the purported this and that it's a multi-level marketing scheme. I don't know how Mark Scott's case survives. Who knows? Who knows? They're gonna cross-examine him. They're gonna say that he got a deal. I remember when Mr. Konstantin Ignatov showed up as a detainee. He's in there today. He's in a blue prison garb. He's still got the neck tattoos and arm tattoos. I guess it's hard to get them off. They must have threatened him with quite a long sentence. In any event, he's testifying in great detail against his sister. And his sister seems a bit of a cheapskate with her brother. He says before he went to work, hello. Oh, I will definitely be covering that. The Tony Hernandez? Yes. The narco trial. Tell me about JOH, because I've been asking Antonio Guterres about it. But I digress. Here, Mr. Konstantin Ignatov, now cooperator, said that in Germany he was getting paid 2,800 euros a month, and he only got a 200 euro raise to work for his sister in a criminal enterprise that's put him here in detention, soon to be in a long, lengthy jail sentence. Who knows? Maybe he'll get time served, like Daniel Hernandez Tekashi 69. He's actually in the same exact seat in room 318. I have. And I will say that this is a new development. The brother testifying against the sister, appearing in 40 Foley. I don't think, well, JOH is as the president of Honduras, he's not yet on trial. He, like Antonio Guterres, for now has immunity. One day, may they both be in a jail cell. Okay, I'm going to run back to catch the end of it and then write a story. But that's it from the OneCoin trial for today. Konstantin Ignatov, brother versus sister. To be continued. Okay, here we are, Inner City Press. There's a man doing Tai Chi. We're leaving the Southern District of New York Courthouse after a full day of reporting. In this case, a surprising day in which Konstantin Ignatov took the stand as a cooperating witness and trashed Mark Scott as a money launderer. He's the defendant. And, by implication, his own sister Ruja, who he quoted as saying it was a trash coin. OneCoin was a trash coin. So this was a surprise. And we're going to report now as we walk toward the MCC, 40 Foley, and the U.S. Attorney's Office that they really need to put the exhibits online. They did it in other trials, Tekashi 69, Honduras. It's unclear to Inner City Press why they haven't done it yet. It's also unclear why they didn't answer a question about the cooperation agreement of Konstantin Ignatov. Now, there were a number of sealed filings that we've been researching. That's why we're leaving a bit late. In Pacer, you can find sealed filings in the case back in September 19th, September 30th, October 10th. Okay, that's fine. But it's a sine qua non that the cooperation agreement will be asked about by the lawyers for Mark Scott, so why can't the public see it? Or why isn't there some explanation of why we can't see it? The trial takes place in that building, 40 Foley. Courtroom 318. This is the MCC. This is where prisoners. This is where the briber of Antonio Guterres, yes, Patrick Ho, is currently stationed, and where Antonio Guterres himself must soon join, because he's covered up rapes, the killing of civilians. But let's check it out. We'll take a different route than usual. This is the almost European walkway between 40 Foley and the MCC. There, the passageway where prisoners are brought in to testify. Today, in court, Konstantin Ignatov, prison blues, neck tattoos. He sat where Tekashi 69 sat. He didn't tell as many jokes, frankly. And I'm not sure his music would be as good if the music played at the OneCoin events that were demonstrated to the jury today. This Girl is on Fire, Tom Jones, techno, None of it very good. None of it very convincing. Trash coin indeed. Trash coin indeed. Now, there was another proceeding at 11 a.m. that we had to go and cover, and it had to do with Hulk Bank of Turkey. It started slow. It was supposed to start at 11. It started at 11:30. U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman was there from 11 until just before 12. He must have had another appointment. Probably he thought 11 to 12 should be enough for the beatdown of King Spalding. But since it started late, the beatdown took a bit longer. But beatdown it was. King Spalding, trying to have it both ways. Appearing, but not appearing. Disappearing. Here now, the U.S. Attorney's Office. And again, with all due respect, I say it. We've asked for access to the exhibits. We cover the case. The news has gone all over the world. Where are the exhibits? It can't just ride on a single, now promoted or to another job, employee. We've asked the spokesperson of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the exhibits and for some information, some comment on the cooperation agreement. And we'll wait to receive it. Okay, I think I'm going to end it here. We rarely do it, but it's a rare angle for an inner-city press, this law enforcement angle. But because it's about OneCoin, we're here. And will remain tomorrow to be continued. Okay, here we are, Inner City Press, Foley Square. There it is, the Southern District of New York Courthouse, where yesterday we covered in great detail day one of Konstantin Ignatov testifying for the government as a cooperator against not only alleged money launderer Mark Scott, but also essentially his sister Ruja Ignatova of OneCoin fame. He was brought in, and we covered it earlier this year when Mr. Konstantin Ignatov pulled off a plane on California, was brought to the Southern District. Neck tattoos, arm tattoos, a lawyer who we've written to and we're waiting for a response from. He said he was going to fight. He said it was going to be a big fight. He wanted out on bail. It didn't happen. Something happened because yesterday, after the opening statements, Konstantin Ignatov appeared in courtroom 318 of 40 Foley Street, in custody, in prison blues, on the stand, questioned by Assistant U.S. Attorney Nicholas Foley at great length about scam meetings, about Mark Scott visiting OneCoin headquarters in Sofia, Bulgaria, about rallies in Wembley Stadium. And you'll continue today, and I don't know if the U.S. Attorney will try to drag it out all day, but eventually, whether today or tomorrow or later in the week or next year, no, probably today in the afternoon. The cross-examination by Mark Scott's lawyers, led by Arlo Devlin Brown. What will they say? Apparently their strategy is to say that it was impossible to know that OneCoin was a Ponzi scheme. It was impossible to know when Ruja Ignatova was handing big money to Mark Scott that it was a fraud. Seems like a little bit of Googling. Might have worked it out, but when the money's good, what can you do? Anyway, innocent until proven guilty. Our interest here is wider. We're not only covering, as some are, Mark Scott because he's a big ex-big law. Who cares? This is a global fraud. This deployed itself. No, I think we can call it a fraud. We just want to say that Mark Scott may be found innocent by the jury because there's a part of a much larger fraud. Okay then. What else can we say? We're going to cover a number of other trials. Yesterday we covered Hulk Bank. Today we're trying to cover a guy actually called St. Clair. Yes, there's a fraudulent coin by the World Sports Alliance. The UN is sponsoring a fraudulent coin. A man with an apartment across from the UN, allowed into the UN, unlike Inner City Press, which exposed each and every. There's probably more. We exposed Antonio Guterres taking golden statues from dictator Paul Biya of Cameroon. We exposed sexual abuse by peacekeepers, covered up by Antonio Guterres and his head of peacekeeping, Monsieur Lacroix. Today we've exposed those two gentlemen's lies about Sri Lanka. They put a war criminal from the bloodbath on the beach, slaughter of the Tamils, as head of the army, Shivendra Silva. And the UN got its friendly journalists to say that they were not going to use Sri Lankan peacekeepers anymore. False. They've deployed 250 of them and paying them to go to Mali. And we'd asked about that. But in any event, that's where it stands. Today we're going in because at 9:30, Mr. Ignatov continues in this courtroom, and we'll be live tweeting it. Watch this feed. Okay, here we are, Inner City Press. We've just covered the second day of Konstantin Ignatov's testimony in the OneCoin trial, U.S. versus Mark Scott. And I have to say, it was quite extraordinary. hard to summarize it. We've written 2 stories, but perhaps the most poignant and human element of it was the fact that Ruja Ignatova bought an apartment under Gilbert Armenta's apartment in Florida, not to find out if she was on investigation by the FBI, but because Gilbert Armenta had promised to leave his wife and be with her, and she recorded him through a hole in the floor, and she found that that was not the case. And there's a recorded call in which she says, "You're a spineless asshole," and then she fled, disappearing. And Konstantin Ignatov said that the bodyguards, not him, he was a sometimes bodyguard, that the bodyguards that accompanied her said that she met people that spoke Russian, and that she spoke of having the protection of a rich and powerful Russian. So this is sure to reverberate. But the cross-examination is still going on. Arlo Devin Brown, the lawyer for Mark Scott, has just gotten into it, asking Mr. Konstantin Ignatov about the emails he's been sending from the MCC, right behind me there. Yes, the Metropolitan Correctional Center, and also asking when he made his multi-million-dollar bail offer, which was rejected and led in turn to his cooperation agreement, who was going to pay it. Apparently his mother, still working at OneCoin in Sofia, Bulgaria, by the way, was one of the co-signers. So apparently what they're going to try to say is that they're just going to try to get the jury to think that he's not trustable. But he's been on the stand. He's been putting out, that's for sure. He's been getting hammered. He said that he told his fiancée. He has a fiancée, so he's not planning to go to jail for long. Or who knows? A lot of romance in this trial, but a lot of scamming and frauding as well. Now, the scamming and frauding at the UN, let me be sure to say this before moving on to other matters. The UN is a fraud. We have put in a number of questions to them today. Even as we report down here, we're banned from even entering the United Nations for having... Well, that's my sign to go. So here, at the courthouse, I'll go this way since the light. Maybe you can see Foley Square behind us. Yes, here we are, reporting on the OneCoin trial. And we'll continue again tomorrow. Probably do something a little bit later this evening after more time to reflect. InnerCityPress.com and a slightly longer story on Patreon, including about a money launderer hiding in plain sight. To be continued.